Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and to part 2 of the Keeweenaw and Scenic Valley Staging Yard Edition. If you were watching last time, you will have seen me build benchwork underneath the existing railroad and cut a path through all the subterranean framing for the track. Obviously, it was a lot more difficult than it would have been to do it before I built the railroad, but such is the nature of additions, and the final outcome was a complete success, as I knew it would be. The customer is very happy with the new staging yard capacity, but of course I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's just head back into the customer's train room and get the project finished. While I'm waiting for that to arrive, I am going to work on this side because I had a good long hard look at this yesterday and I determined that I can actually do it in situ. It'll be a lot less messing around than taking it out into the other room to work on it. This riverbed here is going to be a little bit of a pain, but for the most part I can see and reach down through the framing above, so the minimal clearance at this point is not going to be an issue. And it's only 8 turnouts, so I can do those. The other side, I've got these two already installed. That one will be installed in situ once the yard is otherwise finished, but everything under there can be done in the comfort of the other room where I can see and reach without having to fight. Anyway, I'm going to get back to work now and wait for my help to arrive. So don't go away, I will be right back. Well, the first task for cutting in this turnout is to snip through the rails. I've done that, and then I lifted this piece of track by sliding a long knife blade in underneath it and cutting through the glue. I was careful not to sever the feeders, that way pulling them up, they're still long enough. I can cut them off now and reuse the same ones for the turnout when it goes in. I've now got to cut the number 8 turnout into this easement and get the main line aligned perfectly and then work outwards from there. So let me get on with that. Don't go away, I will be right back. This first turnout has now been permanently installed and I have the next 5 all positioned accurately. None of them are glued in place yet. The reason for doing this is just to get the alignment right. So I've made sure that they line out without kinks and that the straight route at the end here is the right distance from the front of the benchwork and parallel with it. So now that I'm happy with the alignment of that, I'm going to draw around it, work out where the switch machines go, and then drill the holes for them. And then once I've got that in, I will just add the turnouts either side. So let me do that and I will be right back. Don't go away. Well, it may not look any different, but I've now drilled the 4 holes for the switch machines. I didn't bother with a hole for this one because this has to be surface mounted. There is just way too much wood underneath it. So I will install a block of wood right here and then mount it on the surface. All the others, however, can be underneath as normal. So the next step is to glue those 5 turnouts in place. So let me do that quickly and I will be right back. Well, now that those 6 turnouts are permanently installed and glued down, I'm going to go down and get some lunch because I don't want to risk disturbing them. It was difficult enough to get them in the right alignment without being able to get my head where I wanted it. And I'm not going to be able to reach over them to install the turnouts at the back. And if I add any more in front, then those weights are going to have to stay longer and I won't be able to reach over those. So this is a very good time to leave it. Let that glue set up. So I'm going to do that and I will be right back. Don't go away. While I was having lunch, the client's friend showed up to help me move these 2 sections out here. So they are now on the totes. It's not that they were particularly heavy, I could have lifted them by myself, but I couldn't get them out without risking damage because of where they were. Anyway, I am going to leave the other portion of the staging yard unfinished and I'm going to get on with this now because I would like to get this ready to move back in when the client comes back up for the weekend. So the first thing I'm going to do is sweep all the dust off and then I am going to get or the black foam rubber roadbed glued down, and then start plotting where the track goes. So let me get on with that, and I'll be right back. Don't go away. Well, that is the foam roadbed applied and the parallel lines worked out. Those represent the center lines of all 12 tracks. Next, I've got to go and get the turnouts and lay them out and get them to fit accurately. So let me do that, and I'll be right back. Don't go away. Well, I've now installed 4 more turnouts and 2 of the staging tracks. I got off to a bit of a slow start because for some reason the geometry of the curved turnouts that I was using didn't quite match the bench work. It was probably the result of several small errors. Anyway, I discovered that what I needed was straight number 6 turnouts, so I had to order some more of those and get them overnighted. I already have enough to finish this area, but I will need the new ones to finish the locomotive storage area in the other room. Anyway, now that I've got over that hump, it should go pretty quickly from now on. So don't go away. I'll check in with you again later. Well, when I made the last clip, I said it would start to go quickly, and it has. That is 8 of the 12 tracks laid, along with all but 2 of the turnouts. So I think that is a good afternoon's work. I've had enough for one day. I'm going to go down, get some dinner, and I will see you again tomorrow. Don't go away. Well, all the track is laid in the main staging yard. I added the back 4 tracks this morning, and I also reorganized the turnouts in this area. I swapped this number 6 and number 8, and that gives me a much better alignment. Anyway, the turnouts that I had overnighted arrived about an hour ago, so I'm going to go back into the other room and finish the track laying in there. Don't go away, I will be right back. Well, I didn't make any more video clips yesterday afternoon, but I did get all the track laid in the engine storage area, 8 tracks and the remaining turnouts. I did have to take out 2 of those that I installed earlier to adjust them because I reorganized the turnout configuration. I'll explain why later, showing you on the other yard, which is a lot easier to see. Still missing is the track that goes down from here around the back of the engine yard to connect up with the new staging yard at the bottom of the hill. But that will have to wait until I have the main staging yard reinstalled. The task for today is to get as much of the wiring and switch machine installation done as possible. I'll probably do switch machines first because I am still waiting for wire. Some other colours we don't have enough of, and the client is bringing those up this evening. So I think the best use of today is switch machines. There won't be a great deal to see, but I will check in with you again periodically. Don't go away. Well, this morning I started off by prepping and testing all the switch machines and the octopus boards. This is not all of them. I've already installed a few. There were 3 octopus and 24 switch machines, including 4 that are surface mounted, and for those I put them on a block of 2x4. I've already installed most of the switch machines in this portion of the staging yard. For the 2 surface mount, I draw around the block of wood with a Sharpie, and I'm going to cut the foam out and then glue it to the wood. It's not at all difficult, it just takes a few minutes longer for each one. Anyway, that is the next thing I need to do, so that glue can get drying before I need to add any strain to them. So let me do that, and I'll be right back. Well, I've got all the switch machines for this yard ladder fully wired up and tested. And I also installed the switch machines for the other ladder in the other room. And then I started pulling bus wires through. There's the first few rolls of wire down there. This morning I have started the seemingly endless task of installing all the feeder wires. I think the colour scheme is worth mentioning. If you recall, on previous railroads you may have seen me cut an isolating gap in one rail at the start of the staging tracks to allow for isolation of each track individually. But I've now found a better way of doing that. Instead of cutting the rail with the Dremel, I've instead snipped the jumpers under the Pico turnouts. So these two rails leading out of the frog are dead, which means that on each pair of tracks the outer two rails are the ones that go to the regular bus wire, and the inner two are the ones that get isolated. So it means that on the odd numbered tracks the rear rail is the one that's isolated, and on the even numbered tracks the front rail is the one that's isolated. I've had to duplicate the colours. In each set of 6 tracks the colours repeat themselves, and then I have 2 looms of 7 wires coming out through the benchwork here, and although most of the colours are duplicated, I know which one's which because one loom has a red wire in it and the other has a black wire in it, and those will go to the isolating switches later. So I'm going to get back to work and I will check in with you some other time. Don't go away. Well, this staging yard is now fully wired up and tested. I have had a locomotive running the full length of both tracks and through all the turnouts in both directions. Because I don't have the switches set up yet for the isolating sections, I have had to use a temporary jumper. Here it is on the back 2 tracks, and I had to move that to each pair of tracks as I tested them. I also had to reach underneath and operate the switch machines by hand because I don't have the fascia controls hooked up at the moment. Anyway, there's only one more thing to take care of before this staging yard is ready to install, and that is to glue the occupancy detectors in the holes that I drilled yesterday. I've not used these before, so I'm going to have to go back to the installation instructions, make sure I get it right. So let me do that and I will be right back. Don't go away. Well, with the owner's help, I have just got the main piece of the staging yard reinstalled in its final resting place. I've still got to position it accurately, make sure it's parallel at the end. Then I'll put 4 screws up from the legs, up from the beams that support it by the legs. That will lock it into place. And then I have a hanger this side and one the other side. And then hook up all the wires again and test it some more. So let me do all that and I'll be right back. Don't go away. Well, it has been a while since I made a recording, but I've got a lot done in the meantime. All the track in this area has been wired up and tested. All the isolating section switches are also installed and tested, and as you can see I have started installing fascia. Got this long piece along here and I've recut this one to fit, glued it back in place. I've also laid about 10 feet of track around the back where those Mountain Dew cans are sitting, all the way to this last turnout. So all the track laying is done. I still have 3 sets of feeders to put in that last piece of track, and another pair on this turnout, and the last switch machine. But I'm going to leave that for a bit longer, and I'm going to work on fascia controllers in this area. I'm going to start with this one and then just work my way back, and by the time I get to the end I'm sure that track glue will be nice and set and I'll be able to remove the weights and put the feeders in. So let me get back to work and I will be right back. Don't go away. Well, today is Monday the 23rd, I think, and I've got a lot to do today. I didn't even clean up yesterday, I worked late. The customer went home yesterday, left me to it. Today I have a lot more fascia to get installed. I've still got some switch machines to test down here and a lot of wiring to do up under here. Yesterday I carved out a good portion of the blue foam under the scenery, to make room for fascia controls. And today I've got to finish that. I probably won't make many, if any, updates during the day because I just need to get busy. I just need to get on with it. But I will talk to you later before I go home. So don't go away. Well, today has been a pretty good day. I was able to accomplish most of the things on the list. I didn't get to straightening out the hump in the sub-road bed over here, but there's plenty of opportunity to get that done. I'm sure I'll be back at least one more time before he's ready to do the scenery in that area. Also, the track occupancy detector LEDs are not able to wire up because I don't have the wiring looms. They were not in the box with the electronics, but I have run all the wires. Let's take a look at the end. Here they are down here. Those wiring looms will just be hooked up to all the bare ends wires here. So I added all the extensions in them. Anyway, everything is fully tested. I also took the opportunity to run the track cleaning train. Here is the client's new 12-track staging yard. So it approximately doubles his staging capacity. The original yard was only 9 tracks wide, or is only 9 tracks wide, but some of them are long enough for 2 trains. Here he has 12 more trains in the range of 9.5 to 13 feet, and then 8 spurs over this side for locomotives. Although we've already decided it's going to be 7 for locomotives and 1 for his track cleaning train. Anyway, that is all for this trip. I'm going to sign off now, and I'll see you next time. Well, that's all for this project and for this video. I didn't quite get everything finished. I would have liked to have got the fascia painted, but that would have meant 1 extra day here, and it would not have been a good return on the customer's investment. So he's going to do that himself. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful or interesting, or preferably both, and I hope to see you back next time. I'm not quite sure what the next video is going to be, but I'm sure it will be fun. So until then, thanks for watching, and bye for now.